Hi.
Yes, again the Joker did my intro. What are you going to say?
What you gonna do? What you gonna do?
Everyone, I hope you're doing great. Personally, I'm okay. So let's get started with our last part of the first episode, Histories and Movies. Today we are analyzing Ned Kelly by Gregor Jordan, 2003. If you have some knowledge in Australian films, you know that this name is quite big. Indeed, Gregor Jordan is a filmmaker of Buffalo Soldier, No Limits, or Again Two Hands. Indeed, he had made some great films, and his career was short, 12 films in total. But today we are talking about his film Ned Kelly. Yes, it's the last part of the first episode of Histories and Movies. Last time we analyzed Ned Kelly by Tony Richardson, and we say that it was pretty documentary. Well, this film is the complete opposite in many ways. We'll see what are those ways. This film is faithful to history in many points, but some things were added to the story, such as the character played by Naomi Watts, Julia Cook. Before going further, this film is based on a novel written by Robert Drew in 1991, Our Sunshine. Quoting the back cover of the book, Our Sunshine is the tale of a man whose story outgrew his life. Robert Drew's stringily imaginative recreation of the inner life of Ned Kelly, the national hero and the devil incarnate of the antipodes, is written with a brilliant clarity and impressionistic economy. It carries the reader into a dream world of astonishing and violent revelation and extrancing and frightening landscape of murder, sexuality, persecution, robbery, vanity, politics and corruption. Drew not only gets inside the boy and the man who thereafter embodied Australians' best and worst perception of themselves, but shows the crazy instability of the early days which created the Australian legend. The stunning clarity of his prose carries us into a dream world of astonishing and violent revelation and entrancing and frightening landscape of murder, prejudice, persecution, robbery, vanity, religion, greed, politics, corruption, etc. A world which we must finally recognize as our own. An important writer meets an important myth and reinvents it in the most sensual, visceral language he has yet produced, to forever change the way we see Ned Kelly. But here, I'm not criticizing the book, but the film. The only thing I can tell you is that the film is not very centralized in sensuality. It's just about one scene when Fitzgerald came to the Kellys to talk about horses with Dan, and Ned wasn't there, because he was with Julia. So yes, the film takes a lot of liberty changing some things, making Ned and his gang looking more human. Indeed, contrary to Richardson, Jordan didn't make profits. He knew that Ned Kelly did bad, but also knew he was acting for good and was human. And the spectators can prove empathy toward Ned Kelly and his gang. The spectator isn't just a spectator, he feels each character, and this thanks to the acting. Most of the actors did their job great, especially Heath Ledger, who carried the film. I'm serious, it's not because I'm a fan of his work. If anyone else played Ned Kelly, the film would have been a flop, in my opinion. Naomi Watts, Joel Edgerton, Geoffrey Rush and orlandobloom did a great job. They could have done a little bit good, but it's a great job. But Lawrence Kinlan could have done better. Not that he was very bad, but there was something at the end missing. I won't spoil. But don't worry, it's not a bad movie. Actually, it's not at all a bad movie. It's even very underrated. The cinematography was amazing. The shots were really greatly made. My favorite is when the police is chasing the Kelly gang and they burn the forest to encircle them, and the gang flee with fire behind them like the Zodiac Knights. Here are some examples. It's not only the cinematography that's beautiful, the scenario is too. We clearly see the main goal of Jordan, The film is political, social, feminist, and even against animal abuses. For politics and social, it's because the main film is about Ned Kelly, and this is why he robbed, because the system is bad. Some are very poor and the other very rich, and no one cares. Police abuses of its power, people are discriminated because of being non-British.
You heard what I said? I said, give him back his damn watch.
Have you gone simple all of a sudden? We're robbing the bank.
Listen here, kid. This is the last time I tell you, give him back his damn watch.
You're not innocent men. You're a bunch of common criminals.
Now, did you hear that? If we act like common thieves, that's just what they'll call us. My mother is rotting away in a prison cell because of the lies of a policeman named Fitzpatrick. She's an innocent woman, and so are these boys here. My Irish brethren have been unlawfully imprisoned and blacklisted from their selections. How do you expect me to behave other than to stand up against this treatment? Any one of you here can take a shot at me and not be charged for it. There's me gun. Any of you feeling brave enough, go ahead. No? That's what I thought.
Feminist, because Julia Cook is a representation of all the women undergoing the prison of society and mistakes of men. After she made out with Ned, he asks her if she can testify that Ned didn't shoot Fitzgerald because he was with her. She refuses because, well, first she is married, but also because of what people will say. Indeed, they won't blame Ned, but her, against animal abuses, because there is a scene where Ned was taking care of horses. Mr. Cook, watching that one of his horses is sick, decides to shoot him. Julia, his wife, tells him why shooting him, he is alive and deserves to live. Which why he answers her, he is useless. Ned tells that he could take care of him, but Mr. Cook doesn't matter.
Fetch my rifle, please.
What? You can't just shoot a horse because it's wild.
What else can we do? We can't keep it here.
Why don't you set it free then?
I could break that horse free if you like. I've broken horses before. You can ask around. I'd like to give it a try at least.
We know there's not much point. Horse is bad.
If all of this does sound familiar to you, it's normal. This film is literally telling history, but also criticizing our society. And just look around the world, who is literally burning right now. And even if it was made in 2003, it's still actuality, unfortunately. And the fact that it's still actuality means that the society from the 1970s to now hasn't really changed. We just make the same mistakes again and again. To quote Aurora in the song The Seed, we are burning our fingers, but we learn and forget. My last point for this film, and surely my favorite, is the soundtrack. I have nothing bad to say. Remember, Pearson didn't have a real soundtrack, and it was songs that the rhythm were adapted to the scene. Here, it's not the case. As I was expecting, it gives more power to each scene. Here are some excerpts. The composer is Klaus Badlet. I never heard of him till now, and guess what? He did Pirates of Caribbean, Catwoman, and Poseidon. I really invite you to listen to them, but my favorite is and will be Ned Kelly. In conclusion, this film is the opposite of Ned Kelly by Tony Richardson, and that's the interesting thing. This is cinema. You have one story, two directors, and they won't be the same. Richardson was trying to maintain the legend side of Ned Kelly, Jordan humanizing him. And both ways were great. Those two films had to exist. If they weren't made at their times, they would have been made later, but they still be both contrary. The film is really touching, beautiful cinematographically, amazing acting, and even if it's not very faithful of history, the story is great, and as I said, it's cinema and it's good to know its vision that people have about history and how they tell it. Why? Because that helps us doing better than what people did before us. Because like this we debate and understand better people. Because everyone has their side. Some wished Australia was still British, and some were happy it's not. The question is why there are two sides. And here we go. The video is finished. I hope you enjoyed the first episode of Histories and Movies. Don't forget to follow me on YouTube and Instagram, like and share to support, and I would love to know what are your thoughts on these movies and the history of Ned Kelly. Tell me below, and I'll see you at my next video. Take care and stay safe.